Let's see, we got LCL going.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, Jared.
I'm Jared, and I'm the host of Star Citizen Live, a show that we used to do every week and have only done like 4 times this year because a bunch of the people who I work with changed the very nature of our project. For the better. It's been a good year. If you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, and so lucky if you haven't, that's where we take about an hour out of the end of our week, and I invite CIG developers onto the show, and we talk about various work things. Usually they come back. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's like, Jared, what the heck did you get me into? And I'm like, well, it's not easy. But on today's show, it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those shows where we get deep and. Nope, that's not where I wanted to go with that. We're gonna go heavy into one of the most attractive and exciting topics of all: economy, loot, mission rewards, inventory systems. No, it's going to be a good one. So joining us on the show this week, we have members from several different CIG teams who all come together to work on these various systems. So we'll go around and introduce them. This is one of those Zoom calls, so everybody's at their desk because we didn't have enough chairs. So we're going to start with who? Let's go to Zoom and see who's on the screen. Who do we start with? Jacob! Congratulations, you won the Zoom lottery. Who are you, and what do you do?
Yeah, hi. I'm Jacob. I'm a senior gameplay programmer, and I'm here this time because I have been programming a lot of these stuff for loot and harvestables, which is what all of these wonderful designers will be talking about for the rest of the show. Yeah.
Okay. Randomizer here. Declan, who are you, and what do you do for Star Citizen?
Hello. Yeah, my name's Deck, system designer. I work on crafting, which we'll talk a little bit about, and inventory reworks, which is very exciting.
Immediately next to you, Luke, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Luke, and I am here to talk to you about loot.
Loot. The musical instrument, you mean?
Yeah, I'm going to play the loot.
Okay. Wouldn't it be the weirdest thing we've ever done on SEO? Andre, who are you and what do you do for Star Citizen?
Hi, I am Andre. I'm the economy designer.
And what does an economy designer do?
We take care of almost everything that has to do with shops, value of items, rewards. Yeah, so almost everything.
And you're the reason everybody's unhappy.
Yes.
And across from you, Nick, who are you and what do you do?
I am Nick. I'm also an economy designer and also involved in everything, but not the reason that any of you are unhappy.
Okay. So if we have Andre, why do we need you?
We have 4 economy people. We have 3 economy designers and an incredible technical person who I'm not even sure what his job title is because he knows so much stuff. So Andre is lead and oversees everything. I mostly focus on missions and rewards and item prices and events and working with the mission team and the world famous Elliot Maltby. And Connor is commodities and trade routes and new systems and all the free trading and all that kind of stuff.
He's the pretty face of economy.
Connor is, yeah. Connor is.
No, you.
Come on, Luke.
Come on.
And you mentioned Elliot Maltby. It's a shame that he couldn't be here on the show with us this week.
Yeah, it is. It's a real shame. But the terrible accident meant that...
accident completely his own fault and brought upon himself.
In too right. Let me sleep. No, I've got people messing with my desk and I'm in the middle of an SEL. Hi. Should I introduce myself?
Hi, Elliot.
I'm Elliot Maltby, the lead mission designer.
And I spend all my time on Twitch chat.
Yeah, spend all my time on Twitch chat or making you all shoot each other, according to Reddit.
I saw a post that said you were one of the masterminds of the entire persistent universe the other day because you listen to Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, like I was just playing Schedule 1, chilling.
All right, so on today's show, we're going to go through a couple different topics. This is going to be a bit of a different show than normal. We are going to have a section at the end for questions from our community. But today, I want to go through basically the 4 key pillars of how items and stuff are acquired in the verse. To start, we're going to start with economy or money, things you can buy with money. So, Andre and Nick, obviously as economy designers, we're going to start with you here. How do you decide what goes into a shop and where?
Well, as I mentioned, shops are part of our job. So first of all,
Yes, and why, if I wanted to buy armor from shops, why do I have to go to 4 different places to get 4 different pieces sometimes?
we want to make sure that everything
Moving
in the every game loop, every career in the game is accessible. So every activity I want it to be accessible. So if you want to trade, for example, you're always going to find the FPS trading tool, or you're going to find sorry, I'm a bit nervous, obviously. You're always going to find the if you want to trade, you're always going to find a tractor beam. You're going to find a ship that has a cargo grid. If you want to mine, you're going to find an attachment for that multi-tool. You're going to find a prospector. More than that, we try to keep everything tied to narrative. So you're going to find burritos in Stanton, and you're going to find rats on a stick in Pyro. And sometimes we just have fun with it. For example, Connor suggested that every farm in Pyro should have shotguns. He's from Texas, by the way.
Okay, and I think I sent a thread to Nick the other day about how because Hurston was so salvage focused and everything, maybe Hurston should have salvage items in their stores and whatnot. There's a lot of thought that goes into positioning where something goes, not just how much it costs. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean that's actually the kind of thing that the narrative team they would have a lot to talk about in this SCL as well. The narrative team has all of the history of the verse to date, and also all the stuff coming, and so they have a pretty good idea of the context of each location. So when it comes to what goes in what shops where, it's about bringing life to the stories that we already have by letting players, like Andre said, access to the game loops that are appropriate in each of those contexts, but without stopping people from playing things. So enabling game loops that fit the narrative. And
Andre, you said making things accessible from the start, but at some point you go beyond the start. You're in mid game, you get to end game, stuff like this. Is everything supposed to be available in the store? Where do you draw the line for that's not something that should be available in the store? That's something that should go to one of the other ways that you attain things.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to say that there's a clear line. This is where a bit of the art comes in, and at some point you say, okay, this is an exclusive item, or this is something that you should only get into the end game, or maybe a lot of things, not even a maybe, that's going to be a certainty. A lot of things you're not going to be able to just buy from a shop. Because I don't want to make UEC the end all of the game. UEC is something that happens to you, helps you play the game, helps you fuel your ship or repair your ship, but should not be the way that you get the most important items.
I can agree with that.
And it makes sense from a immersion standpoint that you wouldn't be able to go to a Hertz Rent-A-Car and pick up a Polaris or an Idris.
Not yet.
You can't go to a rental shop and buy a battleship today. Now, again, there are always exceptions and stuff like that. Somebody's going to say the 890 jump's available here and whatnot, but it's obviously with the game system, you make exceptions here and there in order to make things available to players at certain parts of your development. But on the whole, we don't want to put everything in one place because we have to encourage players in traditional game design to go throughout the universe and try different things in order to attain their stuff. How do you price things? Is there some kind of matrix, or are you just also using art?
We are always using art, but there's a bit of technique that we apply of this, but actually many techniques. Of course, we first use an algorithmical approach, otherwise would be impossible to put a price or a value on all the thousands and thousands of items we have in the game. And again, those items in different shops at different price points. Once we have that value from the algorithm, then we start to apply our own intuition. We apply our expertise. We apply the experience we have by playing the game, and we do let's call it a sanity check. If we think that the algorithm is giving us the right value or not, and then we adjust the price or we adjust the algorithm depending on the on the situation. Nick used a lot of this algorithm, actually more than myself, because with FPS you have a lot of different items. You have guns and you have armors, and maybe he can tell us a bit about how he used the algorithm and
yeah. So
value.
it's like you say, the number of items and the number of shops and the number of locations, and then just even thinking about the future of the game when that's obviously going to be even broader. You can't price everything individually, and it wouldn't be sensible to price everything individually. And in fact, everything is connected. All the prices of everything are connected. I don't think that's going to come to us as a surprise to anyone. But I mean, if you think of something like ammo, for example, you take assault rifle ammo, well, that's going to be priced relative to the stopping power or possibly the desirability of the assault rifle itself, which has its own price. And then that's related to, say, the price of pistols or the price of railguns. And the price of railguns is an interesting one. The decision to make railguns that and missile launchers so you can't buy them in shops is a deliberate decision to encourage not just NPC shop trading, but it's really, really important to us to have vibrant player trading, and we don't currently have the full systems to support that, but you guys are really resourceful and you're going to make it happen, and we want to encourage that. So yeah, railguns are not available in shops, but they're absolutely available around the verse, and they have a value, and everyone knows that value. And then
and you have, I believe it's pronounced Galadrim, but he does in-game trading, massive in-game trading with other players and things like that. And I watched a couple of videos. Hippo was involved at one time. It was a hell of a thing to see. If you're unfamiliar, it's Galadrim does an event once every week or once every 2 weeks, and it's brings a bunch of vendors into a central location, and a bunch of PvP can break out and this and other thing. It was a great video. So fun to watch. Maybe one day we'll be invited and go and hang out, but stupid fun.
Sometimes me and Nick
stupid fun to
talk
watch.
about. We'll look at the black market.
Absolutely.
The org that I'm in, we do gun running and we sell. And not that I've infiltrated, but we use those data points that like we do in our org and how we do gun running to also influence, because obviously we put our worth on it based on the effort that we put.
So if you're putting a helmet on and your O2 levels are dropping, that means the game thinks that you're already wearing a helmet. So I would take the helmet off that you have, toss it in a backpack, close out of inventory, and then do a left alt plus H. So the keybind to put your helmet on your hip is left alt plus H, I think. It's muscle memory when I'm left alt plus H. You may magically pull a helmet out of pull a helmet out of thin air and put the helmet on. The game thinks you're wearing two different helmets, which for whatever reason makes your O2 levels drop. I would do that.
Put up front for you to get it, but then you put your own worth on it for you guys to get profit, and we take that sort of stuff into account as well.
It's super important. I mean, if you take something like the anti-armor set, for example, like that has a value. It fits in with the algorithm. It makes sense. But the anti-armor set has a completely separate value to the people in the game because of its rarity, because of its availability and content. And that's why it's all related to it. So certain items are only available through content. Certain items are only available. There's a whole content waterfall of items coming from the the dollar store all the way through into the game, and there's an appropriate level of when those things are introduced to various parts of the content in the game, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's all related. And then on the other side of that is mission rewards and sandbox gameplay. And this is where EVR comes in so that we can balance the risk and the reward of those kinds of things. And essentially both of those come together in the middle. And like I say, in the future, we want you to have a better view into how all of these things are related to each other. That's future work with UI and backend data. So you can make meaningful choices about how you want to spend your money on the particular resources or crafting or whatever it is in the future. Even though it's quite simplistic right now, that's not where we want it to end.
Okay.
And we need the player economy.
Do you ever intentionally price something high or weird to make it rare in the verse?
Yeah, we did the Xenofret helmet, the Commander Xenofret helmet. We rocketed that up, and I'm pretty sure we put like 69,420 in it as well because we thought it'd be funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure.
there are perks of working at CIG. If you come to me and tell me I want that to go a bit up or down, you know what? I'm going to be a friend.
Okay. Folks paying attention right now know that there's an exploit. I think it allows you to duplicate things like Janelite and sell it for a whole bunch of stuff. Folks are working on that. We're not going to talk about the fix for that and the adjustments for that right now. That's not being done by any of us. But I did want to ask. I mean, the timing on this. We've had the show scheduled for about a month and a half, and then this happens. How frustrating? How frustrating is it to you personally, to when things like?
What's the key that pulls the med menu? To pull out like a med pen or a med gun? Thank you for the follow. Because that's number 4 on the keyboard.
This happened.
Well, you can only imagine how frustrated it is to have your work affected by a bug that nobody could foresee. And you're right, we are very grateful to our many colleagues that
the
are
number
working,
4 button on the keyboard that pulls out a med pen if it's attached to your body.
And last question before we move into loot and stuff. Sorry, I took this one from Reddit here. Does Star Citizen even have an economy?
Wow, that's a multi-layered question. It's such a short and simple question, but yeah, there are many layers. It's not the comprehensive economy we'd like to have in the future, but I think we are step by step getting there. I can give you the big picture how we laid the foundation for. So, for example, we started in 2024 by doing a full balance of as many systems and items as you could. So probably you saw different prices for ships, for FPS items, for armors, for components, for fuel, for the rewards for the missions, change commodities, trade routes, and many more that I cannot even remember from the top of my head. This year we are focusing on big data, we are focusing on tools, we are focusing on the backend work that needs to be done, and those things that needs to be built before we get to that. And now here insert your adjective, dynamic, live, responsive, all those things that we want to put into the economy that we all dream to have, and the economy that I joined the company to build. But we need to do that background work first, and you're not going to see those results in the game for some time. Only after that we can focus on UI and systems that are going to system that is going to expose all that work to you, the player. So until then, we are doing stuff like you could see still this year, but trade routes being adjusted. We're going to see commodities changing price according to narrative and according to the events that we put in the game. We are going to offer more ways for you to extract value from all the content that we introduce to the game. So yes, you're going to always see changes. We have an economy, but step by step, we are going to go to that economy that we all dream to have in the future. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, I appreciate not just that you answered the question, but that you allowed me to ask such a pointed question. And yes, I think you acquitted yourself very well. Thank you so much for your answer. Let's move into things you find out in the universe. Luke, talking loot here. What are the rules? How do we decide what goes into loot and where?
Okay. Well, I think anyone who plays games enough kind of knows what to expect from loot, and we're not going to reinvent the wheel there. But for a long time, loot was owned by individual content designers, so it got a little bit inconsistent. And an initiative at the start of this year, I've taken it over as a systems designer to try and get things back to consistent again. And hopefully you'll notice that in it was a line, was it Mine to Align and the most recent Stormbreaker locations.
Align to Mine. How could you forget?
Well, we called it Orbageddon, right? Like
That's an internal name. You're not supposed to share internal names for this stuff. We have some really terrible internal names for things.
Yep.
Hex Penetrator.
Yeah, like less said about that, the better. Okay, so basically we just take a few things like into account: category of the item, rarity, and size, because they all have to fit in a box. So we have 4 main categories, which are weapons and ammo, armor, medical, and then miscellaneous. And those ones are distinguished visually by different boxes. Miscellaneous can then be broken down into more specifics like food, mining, repair, so that if the level designers have like a cafeteria or a garage, they can place things that make more sense in there. And then we have 5 rarities: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. You'll find the first 4 of those in loot boxes. We have 3 different rarities of loot boxes: common, uncommon, rare. Epic, we don't have a box of that, but it appears in all those boxes in a very small amount, with more likelihood of getting rare if you are looking at a rare box. We don't have those distinguished visually yet, but that is the plan. We will be getting new models for those, so you'll be able to just glance at a box and see that, oh, that's a rare box. It'll be a lot shinier than the common one, I assume. Then we also have size of the item. We have 3 different sizes of boxes, and it makes sense that you can't find a railgun in a small weapons box. And it tends to be that as things get more powerful, they get larger. So you won't get you'll only get the full suit armors inside the largest armor box.
One's found at Hathor in the PAF locations.
As far as gameplay goes,
and I'm sure
a large
Lazarus.
A large box, the size of a box, is actually, I think, more important than the rarity of a box, because what is rare? Like, it's kind of like a tint on an item or something like that. And then we have like legendary items, and those don't appear in loot boxes. Those are saved for the location. So in Orbageddon, in Align to Mine, or whatever it's called, we had the camo rifle, bolt rifle. Don't shake your head. And we had the camo hunter outfit, hunter armor. And then in Stormageddon, we had Stormbreaker. We had the bright yellow radiation suits. And like, those will never be found anywhere else. They'll be found in those locations. Whereas all the other stuff that's kind of unique to those locations, it's only unique right now. As they get older, they'll...
Speaking of which, on my Zero to Hero account playthrough, I've been specifically looking for a Blackguard, the black P8AR, and I have yet to find one. And as a matter of fact, I haven't seen a P8 drop in 2 days. And then today, noticing since yesterday, red loot boxes and bunkers have been very low spawn. So I don't know. Seems since the maintenance yesterday, loot has been scarce, at least in bunkers. Now at Hathor and the PAFs, loot's been spawning pretty regularly. The normal loot that I would expect to see there, but I have been seeing nothing but Regulus, Beacon, Force Walls, All Stops. Found a couple of Veils, I found one FR66. But mainly just beacons and all stops and force walls over and over again. Very few Veils, very few FR66s. So ever since the maintenance yesterday, loot has been very interesting in bunkers and very scarce, my opinion.
Kind of spill out into other locations as well. And how we decide where they go, so those individual boxes or the loot, we draw a map of the location, and then we decide how difficult it is to get into all those rooms, and then assign them a loot value, and that determines whether they can have like uncommon or common loot inside them. And then
maybe good to mention, we are also making it like an active effort to go back through some of our old locations and update them sort of to snuff. Obviously there's no date on when that is or when that's going to finish, but it's something we are trying to do to make sure we be consistent.
Like, and that will be done using the new kind of extension to the system that Jacob's currently working on, which makes it easier for us just generally to set up loot, to place loot, but also to define locations. So you'll start seeing like differences between Stanton and Pyro through loot.
Yeah, so a lot of what Luke has said is things that we're already doing. We're trying to make each location have its own themed loot in some way, but it currently takes quite a lot of manual intervention to make that happen. A lot of inefficiencies in the workflow. So I've been working on some extensions to the system to improve our tools around that and make it easier for designers to set up things in such a way that it can scale to all of our different locations, all our different systems, and grow for the future as well.
Yeah, when I first started on this, I remember you saying this system was made to place rocks and trees.
And
So Rice Merchant, FYI, for the month of July, I'm running a giveaway. The main code, the main command is in the title. It's !Asgard. Available to everyone, but part of the entry system is finding that secret code and entering that on the giveaway page. So if you type ! Asgard, ASGARD, that'll take you to the giveaway page. And again, it's open to everyone. Drawing will be roughly August 1st, but it's going through the entire month.
Pretty amazing.
The system was made to place rocks and trees, and now it's grown and it's even placing Atlas geosuits, I think, in certain places.
You didn't say I couldn't, Jacob. If you don't tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it. All right.
Yeah.
God, that might be the truest words ever spoken on SEL.
I'm a designer. My goal is to get stuff done by any means necessarily, and if it means I'm using something called a harvestable to place down an Atlas, I'm gonna goddamn do it.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I respect that. But then I
That's
still
not what you said at the time.
Yeah.
So
I got it. What I do is I will try to adapt to the changing needs that the designers have as we're making new content, and what might not have been supported at one particular time will be supported later. So we keep growing our technology as the needs of our content and gameplay grow as well.
Yeah, that's actually where I want to take this. I want to ask you now. So obviously we're now using we've now taken the harvestable system and adapted it to better place loot and stuff. There are technical limitations that we just got done talking about. Luke, at the beginning of this, you mentioned that there was an organizational limitation before this year where all the individual content designers were responsible for doing this, and there wasn't any kind of global overarching theme or process to this. With the growing technical aspects of the harvestable system, or whatever we're going to end up renaming it now that when we start using it for other things, and with this new organizational change, Luke, for trying to build a new kind of philosophy over everything, with the efforts Elliot mentioned to go back and revisit old places. Folks in chat are mentioning certain pyro locations that were built with the old mentality and stuff, and going back and revisiting those like this. What is the future of this look like? We're not giving any dates or anything. Where do we go from here? Does it just keep doing what we're doing, or are there more things we want to push for?
I can say some very far future stuff, but we hope to have consistently themed loot throughout the whole location, and that would encompass the stuff that the people you find there are wearing, what they'll be having in their backpacks, or any other clothing items they have, the stuff that you'll find around the location, and it'll end up being themed towards what that location is for or related to. So if you find a mining outpost, there'll be more mining related stuff. It's all about just being able to fine tune the experience to be what you would expect to find there in the verse. And we have various initiatives on the go that are building us piece by piece towards that.
And because everybody gets a question that it's gonna be a little harder to answer. Andre's still sorry for the economy one. I'm not really. We did great.
It's all right.
One of the things that separates us from other MMOs is that one of the many things anyway is we physicalize everything.
Literally.
All of this loot has to be physicalized. You can't just. We don't have a system where you can just throw something into somebody's bag and it's there and they wear it and it's there. It's all got to take up space. It's all got to be physically manipulatable and stuff. Does this? I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I'm going to ask.
The answer is yes.
Does this make your job easier or harder?
Oh.
Fuck ton harder. Very hard.
That's your second bomb this this call. You got to be careful there.
I'm so sorry.
But yes, it makes it a lot harder for sure. There's like different layers to the physicalization as well. So just saying it takes up space. That means even within an inventory, we are measuring the dimensions of the item and the volume that it will take up, so that you can't fit a super long thing in a really small box, even if its volume would technically fit. So that gives more work for me to do in terms of the maths.
Love how Jared and I are on the same page.
Internally, but then there's more level design and system design kind of perspectives on this as well. Which Luke might be able to say more about, of how we choose between when we're going to present the item to you physically in the world, or when we're going to present you with a loot box that you have to look inside.
Yeah, you asked, does it make it harder? I think it makes it harder for everyone, even the players, but especially the devs.
I mean, literally every single thing is physicalized in the game. If you walk out of a hab, kiosk is physicalized, that door is physicalized, the bed is physicalized, there's items on the table inside the habitation, that's physicalized. Like every single thing. For better or worse, it is what it is.
Because we have been physicalizing certain items. It's always the items that are particularly rare or useful. Like if we want to draw your attention to this, we'll put it in the world. We do that in like an eye-catching way within the level. So a line of mine we place for vault weapons and gun racks. Recently those got lit consistently to really show off what's inside there. And there was the radiation suit is now available on a mannequin. And we'll be using that quite often, I think, from now on, and going back through and placing
suit lockers, maybe.
The other reasons, other than technical reasons, we don't want physicalized loot everywhere is because loot boxes solve all the downsides of that. So you can group items together and they're in an easily recognizable package, whereas a big red box, whatever, physicalized items, you can easily mistake those for static props on tables and maybe miss them. It massively speeds up the jobs of level designers
or when you're in one of the asteroid bases in Pyro and you have a red, what is more commonly seen as a red loot box. It's not actually a loot box. It's just a visual asset to take up space.
artists to kind of place these things around. You imagine placing individual pieces all over tables, making sure you've got room for them. And then it makes my job easier, because if anything changes in loot, we don't have to go back through every level and delete individual bits and pieces. I just change what's going to spawn in the box that's there. And then finally, like, it just hides respawning, the respawning of bits and pieces. Nothing pops in on tables. It just, we refresh inside the box.
It's a difficult thing to balance, because you're going to have, like, as Luke says, it does make our life harder, and it can make, sometimes, as Luke said, the player's life harder, but it can also make the experience better. Like when we're designing things like Stormbreaker and A Line of Mine, you think back to playing games when I was a kid. A loot room should feel like a loot room, right? Instead of me just seeing a bunch of red boxes and knowing it's a chance of rare loot, I want to see like the gold stacked up on a table. I want to walk in and I want to see a Vault shotgun or a Vault sniper rifle in a case in front of me, because it gives two things. It gives affordance to players, because when they look through the window, they see the reward that they want and they know the door's locked. And aside from you all clipping through environments, the normal flow would be then you have to go and figure out how to get through that door without breaking physics, usually. So it's kind of a sort of a toss-up between the two. So what we try to do is we try to fix
the physics,
what we think could be something that we'd want the player to latch onto visually and think, I want to achieve that, I want to get that. And that's why, in some places we have the Vault weaponry visible so people can sort of see it and get into it, and we have a few armor mannequins that are the same. I can see it, I want it, how do I get to it?
And physicalizing affords us the opportunity to make a more immersive universe. It's going to become a big part of when player housing and stuff comes online, and being able to decorate your homes and your habs and your hangars and stuff with
until a patch drops and it gets reset
and stuff like this. It makes the job harder, but the rewards down the line are still everything that we're shooting for and stuff. So it's like anything else, like a lot of things else with Star Citizen. We didn't take the easy path, we take the harder path. But when it works and when we can do it right, it is much more rewarding. Let's move to rewards for specific efforts and basically mission rewards and stuff. Elliot, the first question actually comes from somebody who just got banned in chat. Mulix the Real asked, Elliot seems incredibly immature. Is he right to be a lead designer for important missions? He doesn't even have situational awareness right now. So I guess that wasn't a question.
No, but I can answer it anyway.
Are we sure that was from chat, not just from you?
Genuinely, it could have been from anyone in this office. My personal philosophy is games are meant to be fun. You got to have fun to make fun. So I might seem a little childish, but that's because I'm having fun at what I do, and it just enables me to do a better job. God help us if making video games for people's enjoyment should not also be enjoyable to do. God help us. To the real
valid
questions
point
here. This year has seen a major explosion in mission rewards. Was this a technical limitation that we overcame, a philosophy change in development, or was something else at play? There was a few things that kind of came into this. We needed freight elevators. That was the big thing, because it's either we do a bunch
of freight elevators that may not break on a hourly to daily basis
of temporary throwaway work to get your rewards, or we wait and we do it properly the first time. And the big thing for this was we needed the freight elevator system, and then we got the freight elevator system, and then the next big thing was server meshing. So it was all about the mission refactor. But once we got the mission refactor done, it finally enabled us to take the time to actually make these mission rewards. So it was kind of like it was a technical limitation. We was waiting. We always wanted to do mission rewards. Way back when the mission feature team was still around, it was always something we talked about is we want to try get away from just giving people UEC, because UEC can just help you buy things, but you want to kind of see some other stuff. You want to have a gun. So it was sort of like a pushing forward and an initiative to get that, but also because we knew we was going to do a year of content. What we wanted to try and do as well was have a way of incentivizing that content, not just in the aspect of, hey, it's cool, I want to play it, but hey, it's cool, and while I'm playing it, I can gather things for Wicklow that later benefit me, or I'm doing it, I found it, I picked it up, and then later on I found that Wicklow wants it. So that's where mission rewards come from. It's not going to stay with just Wicklow. We're going to keep pushing it out. We already have with both Foxwell and Headhunters. Sorry, there's a lot of missions. They give out script, obviously, and they give it directly to your home location. You know, that's something we'll see for other missions going forward.
Are there ever any considerations for how weighty or meaningful the reward should be? Like, should a mission reward inherently have more value than something you find in a box or buy in a store?
Yeah, it's a balancing act, right? Like most things, we always want to try for a mix of, here's a mission thing, it's really cool, and you can only get it via missions because obviously then it incentivizes the mission. And then we'll have some items that you can get via a mission, or you could find as potentially a rare drop inside of loot boxes, or it's something that you can't get via mission, you can only get via loot. We try to achieve a nice mix of it all, but we always want to make sure that some items are visually distinct via the methods of getting them. This is so, say I'm walking around in my Stormbreaker uniform that I've got from Wicklow, right? And Nick Wardle, who obviously doesn't read very well and hasn't read the contract, comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I've put my glass."
Yes, Wicklow. Wicklow's a Banu. You can find one. You find his early mission in the mission tab. You can bring him a few things. You got to go find all that stuff, but you can bring him a few things. His missions are changing in the next patch, though. Now, physically, is he in the game? Technically, yes, but you have to glitch in order to get to him. But when you go to one of his many locations, the Wicklow Emporium, there's a hologram and he'll talk to you, so on and so forth.
Glasses on, and I really like the armor that you're wearing. Where do I get that from? And then I can slowly
from the pledge store
walk Nick through and be like, hey, you need to go do the Stormbreaker event. I know your reactions have degraded and have slowed down, but I'll come and help you a bit, and we'll go through it together, and I'll help you get the items you need.
Honestly, and it's something to do with experience and, you know, the wisdom of years as opposed to youth and impetuousness.
Got a fucking few years there, aren't you, mate?
That's your third one. So Elliot is absolutely right. And I think it's important to discuss what we mean by value, because something can have value to someone and it's nothing to do with UEC. So the mission rewards have value to people, not because they're worth UEC.
Sorry, I was just thinking about how much better looking you are than Elliot.
So, there it is.
Listen, I know it. That's the main reason I'm salty.
The other thing which is crazy is, like, I'm like 6'2", which means I'm like 3 foot taller than Elliot. Which is crazy.
Go ahead.
Fuck off.
Go over there and stand next to him right now, no. Nick. Go stand next to him right now.
I swear to God, I'll break your knee.
Let's see it.
We're live.
I'm kneeling. I was kneeling. It was a joke.
You weren't kneeling that much.
Elliot's what, 5'10"?
Goblin confirmed live. Let's go.
Listen, Goblin Gathering isn't named after me.
I thought it was named after the Magic at the Gathering card, but then I found out what it was named after, and it's a good story. Wicklow has been a major new avenue for mission and event rewards this year. Where'd that come from, and how'd that come about?
So previously, as I mentioned, you know, we knew we wanted to do a content year, and we wanted to make some really cool things for players, but we also wanted to make sure that we gave them more reasons than this is just new content to go and engage with it. We wanted to give specific rewards that are tied to content, or tied to multiple pieces of content. That means that players, if they want these rewards, they kind of have to engage with a bunch of different ways of gameplay. It's also nice because it might show players into gameplay that they're not really used to playing. You know, I watched a really cool podcast with people when we first released Siege of Orison, and they were saying how they was only ever ship combat flyers. They'd never done FPS in Star Citizen, and then when we did Siege of Orison, they was like, well, let's check it out. And now they do a mix because they'd engaged with content for a purpose that was different to just this is what I normally enjoy, and it encouraged them to check content out and play it more and more. So we kind of use it like that, because obviously not everyone's going to want to play the Goblin Gathering, you know, hauling missions, because they're not really interested in hauling, but they might have a reward that they want to achieve, and by that they might go, I might try this out because I could just do thousands of these to hit this, but this one is more dangerous, so it's going to give me more points towards my overall goal. So I'm going to sort of engage with it like that. As for where Wicklow came from, we're a space game. We should have aliens, and ones that actually are sentient and talk to you, even if it is broken English. So when we was thinking about it,
I think he
we
talks
want some
fine.
sort of like figure that's collecting oddities, and it is very mysterious. And the original plan was that you wasn't going to find out that it was a Banu. We was going to have a broken sort of camera, and it was going to take you time until you discovered who they was. But then we was like, we're hiding one of the coolest things. So we was like, let's get him in there. Let's put some comms in there eventually, and have him speaking to you, and maybe even talking pure in Banu. So the people who understand Banu can understand it, and the people who don't can have some subtitles to read, because yeah, it's another language. I don't understand it. I barely understand my language.
I'm going to have a migraine at the end of this with everybody using the internal names for things.
Wait, what did I say?
You said Goblin Gathering like 4 times.
Oh, right. Well, that's because...
It's all right. No. In my new role, I don't really care. Let's just be real.
Should we give the Stormbreaker name?
We've already done it. We've given like the last 4 names. You just haven't been paying attention.
I don't think I said Apex again.
No. That's somebody else. Somebody else said Orbigeddon, okay. Whatever. It's just you. What was I going to ask?
I thought.
What?
I thought
what,
you
what
said
did
you weren't
think?
going to do another live one, Jared, with Elliot because of all the. I thought we.
No, that was Lath. That was Lath. Just. Never mind. Love you, Lath. But never again. Okay. So what are the limitations of this system? So we know it's not precisely how we'd wanted it, and there are some peculiarities with elevators and the Wicklow favors and the RNG, which is getting addressed in 4.2.1. Walk me through what's happening now and how we're making Wicklow better in the future.
I'll break that down into 3 little bits, because you mentioned a bunch. Freight elevators obviously have their issues. We're not blind to it. We know about it. It is an incredibly complex system because it touches so much kinds of things. It's got the whole thing that Jacob was on about before with the volumes and the fitting. You can have so much stuff on that, and they're all different dimensions. Like
in a small hangar freight elevator, you can call up size 4 ship weapons, but you can't put a size 4 ship weapon on the freight elevator and store it. But you can call it up. Makes perfect sense.
It's a lot of stuff to figure out. So they're actively working on it every single patch to try and make it as good of an experience as can be. But we're working on stuff as well for the Wicklow experience to make it better. So one of the big things that I know is going to help a hell of a lot is what we call like nested item turn-ins. So essentially, if you had a 1 SCU box and you put everything in that 1 SCU box, so like I put in 50 favors, and I put in like 20 medals, and I put on 10 Copion tooth and 3 pearls, I should then just be able to put that box on the freight elevator and send it down, and it accepts it, and it kind of completes it. Like that. Now, we don't currently have that. There's a bug, like it should work, but there's a bug that's stopping it from being worked, and it's something we're actively looking to fix, and that'll improve the experience, because instead of like I say, we're not blind to it. I have to stand on that freight elevator as well and manually drop each item for a stack of 50. The problem is that we want to fix the bug, and we don't just want to make the recipes easier to account for that problem, because then it completely devalues the reward at the end. So working on that part of the experience. And another thing is what we call multi-location drop-off. This is essentially, instead of having to go to a certain Wicklow Emporium to do the mission when it's generated, we're going to be having it so that you can accept it and turn it in at any Wicklow location. So say I need to get like 10 pearls, 10 irradiated Apex pearls, and I need to get 4 quasi-grazer eggs, and I need to turn them in, and station thing is closer to the pyro jump point, so I want to turn the pearls in there, and then the quasis spawn over here, and that's close to this station, so I want to turn it there. We're going to enable it eventually so you can do that. And what will happen is, if you've deposited the pearls here and then you finish the eggs off in this other location, it doesn't matter where you put it. Wherever you complete the recipe is where you'll be given the award, but you can drop them off at any location.
Finally.
This way you can choose exactly where you want to go and finish the mission.
Yay.
And when we get that tech, it won't just obviously come to Wick. It will come to a bunch of our missions where we notice this is kind of like a pain point of right. Well, I have to go all the way over here now, and I don't want to. But that should help. That'll be the freight stuff. Favors are something we want to keep because they're in law they're a representation of the Banu. Because they don't write stuff down, they don't really have that history thing. If you do work for me, and I'm a Banu, I won't remember that. So a favor is like a token that says, yeah, if I give you this, it means that I've done substantial.
Is it similar to having a coin in the John Wick universe? Sounds like it.
Amount of work for you. And then me as a Banu, I'll go, okay, right, well, I can't remember it, but because you have my favor cube, I will honor the deal, honor the agreement. But favors also act as a purpose, which is stopping your items being deleted. We have some technical limitations, obviously, in the game where certain amounts of items in one zone can cause lag, frame drop, physics to freak out, all of these kinds of things. And what we have is this density cleanup system that eventually, when it violates a rule set, it starts cleaning them up. But because obviously we need the worth of the items, but we have the limitation of too many items in one space causes problems. Favors are also used as a conversion method. So when we ask for you to trade in 50 Karenite for one favor, it like I say, it's a conversion. Instead of asking you to put 500 Karenite down and 450 of them be deleted, and you're like, oh, my hard work, no. If you don't get a crash or whatever else, that's why the favors exist, and they're going to continue existing because they're a really interesting piece of the law. But the idea is that we'd be able to have more items in bulk when we can do that sort of box thing. So favors will stay, but they'll kind of morph a little bit for how we use them.
Gotcha.
And then RNG. RNG. This is something obviously we've looked at for 4.2.1, and we've put in some fixes that people have been playing. RNG and grinding is very typical for an MMO, and it's something obviously we want as well. We want you to put in effort because effort means the valuation of the things you get as a reward goes up. You've put your time into it. But the point where we've changed it was that the RNG was done a lot more on the reward side. So instead of going, I want this item and this is all the stuff I need to get for it, we would go, here's a list of a bunch of items you could possibly get if you give this stuff, which, randomizing the reward isn't as fun because then you've got all this work done, you go for the excitement of getting the reward, and then it's like, hey, you got this, and you're like, yeah, oh, that's not what I wanted.
Agreed.
So we've kind of changed where that is. So what we want to do is have you choose the reward you want.
Because getting 3 C1 spirits in a row is stupid.
Getting of the items is where we have the RNG, and it's something that me, Torsten Lehman on Systems Design, and the economy team, Andre and Nick, have been working on, which is defining what that is, and we've basically split it into like 3 distinct categories. You have your core content items. These are items that you are guaranteed to kind of get while playing a piece of content. So an example of core content items would be Karenite, right? You get Karenite from doing the Align and Mine flow, codename Armageddon. Then you have your content items. These are items that are not core to the experience, but you can find and you can get. So an example of these would be the Ace Interceptor helmets. And then the ones that help us with the RNG in a big way are the rare content items. These are things that you will find less likely to find. They still can be there, but they increase the time and help to add that sort of grind aspect to an MMO. So these are some new things or things that already exist that we're kind of like injecting. So for example, in 4.2.1, when you play and you do I was going to say Armageddon, Align and Mine, you will find pure Karenite now in the cave. It's a new type of resource, but you're going to find a hell of a lot less of them, and you're going to notice that some of the recipes now require that. If you're doing the Stormbreaker, there's the grade AAA Radiate Pearl. That's going to be a rare content item. We've got a bunch of war badges for ship battles that you can find on the Ace pilots, but they have a chance to spawn. You can find them in Luke's loot boxes, but they have a rare chance to spawn. And this is kind of like how we're looking to keep a little bit of the RNG and keep a little bit of the grind, but you decide up front what is your reward you want. So you don't have to end up with like 50 like terrapins from Wicklow, all just because you wanted a completely different ship. Yeah. Listen, it was a long question. What do you want me to do?
Leave Lando alone.
Great answer, Elliot.
You're playing with dolls. What are you doing?
I want to read 2 comments from the chat. First was from Saint Deacon. This was caught by the auto mod, so I want to make sure this gets out there. 9 unicorn horns, my virginity, my eldest child, and 900 hairs from a tick's butt.
What do you think, Nick? I'm good with that. You want to put that as a recipe?
How does he have his virginity?
I think that's reasonable. I'm not sure which one of those is. I'm not sure which one is the rare content on that one. Is it the butt ticks? I'm not sure.
Definitely not the virginity for sure.
No, he's definitely still got that one. But and then another comment from Blues Minx. I love Elliot Maltby. I could listen to him for hours. Please continue talking about what you're talking about, Elliot Maltby, and don't change the topic at all. He's being very gracious,
kind,
and good in the chat. All right. So our last pillar here, Declan, you've been waiting patiently and hanging out. It's your time, baby. It's your time. Stuff you make and storing it. Now, obviously, we're not going to go too far into crafting. As we get closer to the actual implementation of crafting the PU, there'll be ISCs and there'll be SCLs and stuff like that. But because it is yet another way that people know we're going to get some stuff, I do want to touch on it here. How does all these other avenues of item acquisition affect what you're doing on crafting?
It's big. With crafting, God knows how many things we're going to inject as rewards. There's thousands of blueprints, hundreds of materials. So we really need all of this available to us so we can kind of dish it out into all various parts of the game. Some places where it's more difficult, some places where it's easier, unique resources, different systems. So it's big because the whole gathering aspect of crafting is the foundation layer. So it's kind of like the biggest, and then the pyramid for refining, and then crafting at the very top. So it's big.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so all of the pieces that we've talked about so far, all of the work that Luke, Nick, Andre, Elliot is doing, all of that content is things that we'll be able to add blueprints to, add crafting materials to, and in loot boxes, potentially even you might find some pre-crafted loot, but we'll see about that.
I know there's some conversation about separating gear and cosmetics. Deck, what can you tell us?
Yes. So I suppose most people know right now the way we have to do cosmetics and gear at the moment, like your armors and your guns, is a bit annoying because it's like bound to the item rather than being like a ship paint where you can swap it around. So we are working to separate
make the armor and let us skin it
from the gear, and you take
paint
a
it.
crafting terminal.
Call it a day.
Be like, I want my gun to be whatever
Stop
skin
selling
I have
armor
available for it, and it won't be a physicalized item either. The paint won't be physicalized. Ships eventually transitioning to not be physicalized either. The paint aspect of them. Yeah, so that'll be a nice improvement.
Yeah, and something we'll hear more about, obviously, when we get closer to the stuff. Because crafting is, still a ways in the future and whatnot. All of this stuff, and this is really the reason I've invited you here, in case I don't know if you know this or not. All this stuff, all this way of getting stuff, all this way of acquiring stuff. I got to ask you about the inventory system.
Yeah.
Help.
Help,
okay. Declan.
Well,
help.
There is
like stuff doesn't stack right. Stuff. It's. I got to just help. What can you tell us?
We can
help.
help.
Fix it.
You have 2 P4 AR mags, both full. 40 rounds of 40 rounds. 40 rounds, 40 rounds. Can't stack them. You can't stack them together. reasons.
Well, I'm personally not fixing it. However, the
PTSD.
talented folks in Montreal are working on a rework at the moment, so I will share some concept UI for what's being worked on, and we can talk through it.
But is this going to fix the stacking?
So here we go.
Is it going to fix the stacking?
We're looking at some concept UI.
Oh. This is very busy. Personal all. Equipment. Okay. So this is in the... This is all between these... Between... Huh. This is interesting. This is very busy. So P4 AR mags are tier 4 loot. Interesting. Those are Morozov. Those look like Morozov arms are tier 5 loot. Well, there's the backpack. And then this is the actual personal inventory. This screen is very busy.
Why here? As you can see, there's a visual facelift, but kind of the most interesting aspect to me isn't super obvious straight away, and that is that you will be able to access other inventories that are nearby to you within proximity. So if we start drawing, we imagine we've got our storage box over here, and then we kill the guy. Yeah, thank you. We kill the guy. Here he is. He's on the floor. So he would be accessible as one of the tabs up here, and then the inventory box would be over here. Same on the other side. And so when you press I to access the inventory, you can then access the dead bodies inventory, access your storage box. You can start moving stuff around without having to directly go up to the body, go to the box, press F. So it's much, much quicker to kind of get in there and start looting.
In before there's a found exploit of anyone pressing I and being able to see every other person's inventory around them. In before that exploit pops into the game. Anyone? Anyone? Visually, I like it, but at the same time, it's very busy. It's very busy.
We'll just get rid of all this. If we focus in on one of the panels, you can see it's called Personal All. That's just kind of the default person would be on the left, and it's all because it's showing everything that is stored upon your person at that moment. If you wanted to see what is in your backpack,
makes sense.
You have these side tabs, and then we have a search function which has been added in. If you were to click this, a search box would come out over here, and you can search the item that you want. You have your select all, your capacity, you have your filters. These filters are kind of similar to the freight elevator where...
But see, there's a select all button now and it doesn't work. Or there's a move all button and it doesn't work.
You have the drop-down box with the subcategories here. And we're working on these filters being multi-purpose. What I mean by that is, at the moment, filters, you click them once and it means I want to see these items. If you were to click them twice, it would hide that category of item. And there's a lot of people with freight elevators full of decorations they don't really care about at the time, so they can just hide all the decorations if they want to. Clear filters, sorting options. When crafting comes in, this will be big because you want to sort by quality, item tier, that kind of stuff. And then tucked away in the corner is stack all. So that's a nice quality of life addition as well.
Oh, I'm having PTSD right now. Modern daily PTSD because I have an inventory that is complete and utter chaos because I have four stacks of 4 different amounts of P4 mags that I can't stack. Anyways, you calibrated your pedals? Good. I'm assuming Thrustmaster had some software. Stack all. Okay.
Jesus.
Just a nice little addition. Just a nice little addition.
There he is.
Anything about maybe getting to name our boxes, label our boxes?
Oh!
Yes, so this is your commodity box, and then this would be like a backpack, and one of the options will be to right-click and just rename them. So you could say like, oh, this is my...
Thank fuck. Like, we've been able to tag boxes in Tarkov for how long? Years upon years.
box with high quality channel lighting, whatever.
You've given Boring Gamer, Salty Mike, and Space Tomato so much content for the next week.
Bro, we're not done. We've got tooltips and everything.
Oh my god, here he goes.
So, as you can see, looking at the inventory, everything's a square now. Instead of it being a mix of squares and long rectangles, that'll also be applied to the freight elevator, so the ship guns won't take up half the screen. Get a lot more information.
Or a battery.
Available to you. We have the equipment panel, where I know I just said they weren't rectangles. These ones are, but regular weapons aren't. So I'm technically true, but also lying. You can equip your attachments super easy here. The 1, 2, 3 is basically like the slot they're in, and then again, if you were to look at your ammunition, you can see which weapon it's viable with. If we go over to the character, we have all the slots. The slots would be shown by default here, and they're contextual. So if you want to quickly see all the backpacks you have available to you, if you were to click the backpack slot, then the various inventories would filter to only show the backpacks. Yep, we have the new tooltips, which are very nice. Rather than being text, we have bars. You've got a bit of info here. When we have crafting, then the crafting, the person who made.
Registered to John Doe. So this gun is insured. So if it's registered to John Doe, and it's bricked. So this character is not John Doe, and he has a gun that's bricked that he can't do anything with. So this is stuff that they talked about back at SitCon last year.
Made it would replace the manufacturer, so it was crafted by whoever it was crafted by. We have taken into consideration wear and tear with integrity and durability, and I suppose you know there's more than 3 stats on a weapon, so if you were to right click and details, you get the full view with the scroll bar, the attachments, description which can be expanded, and then if you hover onto an item of the same type, you'll see the comparison stats as well.
Interesting. When is this coming in? Who knows? Nobody knows. One day, maybe, down the road, in the future. So the Demico, they use lorem ipsum. Interesting. But it's a bricked item. It's registered to John Doe. So yeah, okay.
You can make the icons bigger or smaller. If you've got bad eyes, you can make them a bit bigger. Elliot, don't make a joke about it. The thumbnails as well. Obviously, there's a problem where sometimes they don't load, or sometimes they appear as holograms. That's been worked on as well. We'll get that fixed. I think that's it. It's probably not everything. There's a lot of stuff that's going on.
No, yeah, it's not everything. We haven't talked about the imprinting and the stuff with item recovery v2 and stuff like that. But again, we just wanted to share a bit about at least the concept for the upcoming inventory revamp for folks in the chats that are saying 2026, 2027.
Sure.
Possibly. I'm not gonna BS you here. It's not in active development right now. It's just in the concept phase and being spec'd out, and the work is being figured out, and then it will be scheduled and stuff like this. So I can't.
There's your answer, Casper.
None of us can speak about when it will be developed or be delivered rather. But that is the direction we want to go in this moment. And I thought it was super cool, and I thought it was super exciting. And at the end of a conversation about all the things you can get in the verse and how you get them, it just made sense to me to cap it off with a look at least how the future of managing that stuff will potentially look. So yeah, with that, folks, we made it. We're at the end. Andre, Nick, Declan, Elliot, Luke, and Jacob. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
No,
thank you for hanging out.
Thank you very much.
Shout out to Connor, who wanted to be here, but because we changed the date on him, he couldn't be here. He wanted to be here, but he's there. Thank you so much. Also, I got a shout out. So there's a thing before I let the viewers go. I got to bring it up here because I didn't look at it ahead of time. There is a. Oh, what chat was it in? Is it in your chat or my chat? There's a thing called Quantum Vegas. It's happening on Saturday, July 12th. It's a big community-organized Star Citizen event like other ones like Beacon in Belgium or Con 42 in Germany. We're in attendance on July 12th is Sean Tracy, Sandy Roberts, Tyler Witkin, Galastica, our social media person. There's going to be panels and contests and a bunch of giveaways and a bunch of stuff that you can get. So if you're in the Vegas area or at least the Pacific Southwest and you can attend, that's on July 2nd, and you can check that out. Just search for Quantum Vegas .space.
July 2nd. So yesterday.
They had a space thing, and for details on that, and that's July 12th.
July 12th. Okay.
As for me, that's it for this week's show.
I was like, that's yesterday.
Thursday.
This was
it's a behind
live
the ships,
earlier today.
Episode dedicated to. Just something I've been waiting for a long time. No, it's not the jalopy. It's something else. Or Con 42 in Germany. We're in attendance on July 12th is Sean Tracy, Sandy Roberts, Tyler Witkin, Galastica, our social media person. There's going to be panels and contests and a bunch of giveaways and a bunch of stuff that you can get. So if you're in the Vegas area or at least the Pacific Southwest and you can attend, that's on July 2nd, and you can check that out. Just search for Quantum Vegas .space. They had a space thing, and for details on that, and that's July 12th. As for me, that's it for this week's show. Come back next Thursday. It's a behind the ships episode dedicated to
the Raptor.
Just something I've been waiting for a long time.
The Raptor.
No, it's not the jalopy. It's something else.
It's the Raptor.
Just because I know people were going to think it's a jalopy, but it's been a ship that's near and dear to my heart, and it's coming to the verse real soon. So check that out next week, and then of course we'll be back.
It's probably not going to be the Misk Raptor. It's or the Street Sweeper. It's probably going to be the RSI Mantis variant that we now know is coming. Is more than likely that's what's going to be behind the ships, which usually the ship is released at least at the same time. Interesting.
A lot of folks had questions about the new event that's currently testing on PTU. We have an ISC dedicated entirely to that and how the rewards work and how you can get all that stuff. That's coming in 2 weeks after that. So
go play it. Put some bugs in for me, please.
Oh yeah.
I need them.
Yes, but if you're on PTU now, play it. Elliot's work is terrible, and he needs as much knocking on the pipes as possible
I'll have you know
all
the
these other
economy
people
was done by
can
Nick
fix
Waddle,
it.
so if it's terrible, it's not me.
It needs some playtesting. Go to the PTU.
Exactly. He didn't have his glasses on when he was doing the numbers.
I had the screen really big.
So, somebody in the chat said, "Do you remember when SCL used to be professional?" And I'm like, "No." I've been here for every single one.
Remember the summer show? Was it the summer show or the Christmas one? Which one was it, Jared?
I don't know what you're talking about. We don't talk about the anniversary show. I hope you're playing Hello Darkness, my old friend, right there. Do we not have that queued up? No. All right. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Jump onto PTU and test if you can. It helps us release these things every single month. And come back for BTS next Thursday for a pretty spaceship. All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. So, my guess is Samantha's variant that is going to be behind the ships next week. All right. Well, that was SEL. Interesting. Very busy on those new inventory pages. That is for sure. But yeah.